War around Israel heats up as the markets continue their hot streak. Today is January 13th, and you are listening to the Arbitrage Trade Weekend News. I'm your host, Darin Harper, bringing you three things you need to know for this weekend, three interviews including Stanley Tumbler hype, too much information, show some restraint, and financial deep dive with Daniel, new year, same savings goals. And then there's a bonus blog titled, Food Costs Getting Out of Hand. Also check out the winner and loser this week in the market. The 10-year fell just below 4, and WTI crude came down to upper 72s in spite of the conflict in the Middle East. Here's three things. After announcing its worst quarter in 15 years, Citigroup is cutting 20,000 employees. This represents about 10% of its workforce. The bank took just under $2 billion in losses in the fourth quarter after a $4 billion one-off loss. Corporate lending revenue dropped 26%, and bond, commodities, and currency trading dropped 25%. Smart locks that use your fingertips are nothing new, but what if you could just look at it? Would you just look at it? And voila, open sesame. Or says me. No, you're looking at it, so it wouldn't be says. This is what the Lockly Zeno series Visage does using infrared face scanning cameras. There is still also a fingerprint reader if you want to go OG. Should be available by summer for around $350. Here are the bigs for next week. Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Tuesday brings us Germany's CPI and China GDP. Wednesday is the UK CPI, Eurozone CPI, and US retail sales. Thursday is jobless claims, Philly Fed manufacturing index, and crude oil inventories. And lastly, on Friday, we have existing home sales. Trade while you sleep and across time zones with Arbitrage Trade Assist. Sign up today at arbitragetrade.com. Arbitrage Trade is your trusted source for business, finance, and tech info.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Rome. I've played many roles in television and film, but today I'm speaking as myself about a cause that's very dear to my heart. The Cancer Prevention and Treatment Fund provides free help to those who have cancer and those who wish to prevent it. They've also banned cancer-causing chemicals from our homes and neighborhoods. Your donation makes a difference because 98 cents of every dollar pays for programs and services, not fancy salaries or events. As a mom, I'm thankful that they've helped ban cancer-causing chemicals from our toddler toys and baby bottles. They continue to fight the same fight to keep these chemicals out of our playgrounds, pizza, and soda cans. Please donate today to the Cancer Prevention and Treatment Fund at stopcancerfund.com.
Hello, Caroline. Welcome back to another session this wonderful new year. What are we talking about today?
So, have you seen all the hype about this new Stanley Tumbler?
Oh my goodness. My teenager.
I was about to ask about her.
She's like, I have to have this for Christmas. I'm like, it's a cup. I don't get it.
That's $45.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to Amazon and went, all right, what?
Yeah, so
okay,
what's the hype?
I have no idea.
Well, it's a good thing I'm here.
It's a great thing you're here, actually.
So Stanley, the company, has been around since 1913.
Okay.
And they were originally known for their like green colored thermoses for like blue collar workers.
Yeah, construction workers.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. They have a lunchbox.
The thermos. Yeah, with the cup on top.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how they started out.
Okay.
1913.
Okay.
So then, they branched out and they started making this quencher is the name of the style of tumbler.
Okay.
And it holds 40 ounces. It's a foot tall. It's got this straw,
Okay. So like every other big gulp. Okay.
Right.
What else we got?
They started making it in 2016, but then in 2019, they quit restocking and marketing it because it just wasn't selling very well. Well, what do you know? Some influencer, her name was Ashley Lesueur. She also ran the Buy Guide online. She purchased her first quencher in 2017, fell in love with it, was buying it for friends. And when she heard that Stanley was going to quit marketing it, she tried to get them not to. And anyway, long story short, Stanley gave her another option, make a wholesale order to buy the 5,000 we have in stock and put it up on your website. So she did that.
Nice.
It took off.
I love that.
She said it was like a huge business loan, like all of her money went into buying 5,000.
But hey, when you believe in something, go for it, right?
So that was in 2019. Then in 2020, Stanley hired a new president who had previously for the last 7 years been at Crocs.
Okay.
So think about how Crocs took off like 2010 to
Okay.
2020.
Oh, I see everybody in
Okay,
Crocs.
right.
Everybody, including that teenager of mine.
Yes, right. And so his experience at Crocs really brought on the whole idea of an influencer helping out. So he liked the idea of partnering with influencers, and so it has now just shot up.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so it's interesting too. I was reading a lot of quotes from people. One of my interesting ones is a content creator who first learned about the quencher in 2022, so not that long, a little over a year ago.
A little over a year ago, yeah.
Guess how many she has now?
How many does she have now?
Take a guess.
6.
47.
Holy, why do you need that many cups?
Exactly. Well, they're all different colors because, as she says, quote, I wouldn't even say Stanley's are something I use. They're actually part of my personality. If I don't have it, if I don't choose the right color that matches my shirt, my day just kind of doesn't go how I had planned it.
Ah, okay.
And so that's what the president was hoping for, like to create this hype. So the most recent hype was this new winter pink bottle that Starbucks and Target did about a week or two ago, where they had limited supplies. People were lining up at midnight. They were giving
lining up at midnight for a 40-ounce tumbler.
Yes, for a $45 tumbler that now is hitting resale sites. For between $100 and $300.
Well, limited edition, we'll do that.
Right, right. I mean, they had very limited supply. They've got the hype going. So you never know what kind of water bottle, is going to come up next. Some TikTok users are predicting the next one will be the Owala, which I have had for years now. Thank you very much.
Nice. And I hope you stay thirsty, folks. All right.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, for sure. All right. If you guys like what you heard, go visit our blog at www.arbitragetrade.com/blog. Thank you again, Caroline, for being here, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hello, Darin.
Hey, Royce.
How are you?
I am great.
Well, that's good. That's good. What do you think we're talking about today?
I don't know. I need more information. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's actually what we're talking about.
Oh,
people giving you just too much. You ask a single question and they give you their life story and all this other stuff.
Yeah, they vomit it out or spew it out.
and people, and they realize it after the fact, that awkward moment where you're like, oh, I really shouldn't have said all of that.
Man, I know it. Like it's better to do that in person though than online.
For sure. But
I think we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do know for a fact that a lot of people overshare on social media. I'm like, okay, this person really likes this other person. Look at all those hearts.
Man, I have some thoughts about that too, but I want to share a quote.
All right, let's hear your quote.
Very well here.
All right, what we got?
It's from, and I'm going to butcher this person's name.
Oh boy, here we go.
I'm thinking he might be Hawaiian, but it's Makakoma Moko no Ana.
Wow, that's impressive if you did that right.
If I did it right, I'll never know. All right. Maybe we have a listener that's Hawaiian. We have learned about some people from their social media feeds way more than their families have learned from years of living with them.
Sometimes.
I think that's very apropos.
I think social media makes it really, really easy to overshare. Right. And it makes it really convenient. Like you get your acceptance, you get your dopamine rush, it's like, hey, they liked what I said. You get what do they call it? Justification, verification. You're edified through people's interactions with what you put out there.
Yeah, and I like to use the word validation. It's where they go to be validated, and that's just absolutely wrong to do it online.
Well, you can get some validation from it, but
Mhm.
basically, yeah, it's learning what to put boundaries, right? Learning where it's
Yes.
like, okay,
Yes.
like for example, don't invite your friends necessarily to your Facebook if you don't want them to know everything that's going on in your life. Because many people have lost their job just because they ranted about something that happened at work, and now
It's
HR.
there forever. And it could be 10 years ago you said something,
Yep,
and you don't even think that way anymore, but it's still there.
it's still there. It was
lurking in the past.
It's like, hey, past mistakes can create future problems.
It's like it's harder to say, I'm just kidding online than it is in person, right?
No, because you just say JK, JK.
Yeah, that's right. JK, JK. And the post was 2 years later, JK, JK.
Right? See, there's a JK there.
Yeah, I have a little thing I came up with, a little saying myself. So I'm not the only one that can quote quotes. I can actually make quotes, but I think people use social media as a therapist couch in a room of unlicensed psychologists.
Hey, sometimes it's cheaper.
Yeah, very cheap. Yes.
But
Could be more damaging though.
True. And even AI can actually be your therapist. So just ask ChatGPT a couple of questions and they'll try to point you in the right direction sometimes.
Yeah. I would just say, I guess if I had to sum up what I thought about this looking into it, is that you should just avoid controversy in person and online, and just keep those things to yourself and keep them to just your friends.
Yes.
Offline.
Because sometimes you're among friends,
Or
but
DM them.
sometimes
Yes.
they're not your friends.
Yes.
And that's also one of those big Achilles heels that a lot of people have.
Yes.
Well, if you guys like what you heard today, go to our blog, arbitragetrade.com/blog, and read a little bit more. Thank you so much, Darin, for being on here, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Royce.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. Hungry kids get sick more often and can struggle in school. It can be harder for them to focus and learn. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures.
We want to ensure that all of our kids have healthy meals every day.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping feed our kids.
To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
Hey, it's time for Financial Deep Dive with Daniel. And of course, we have our guest, Daniel Hopwood. And this week he wrote about New Year, same savings goals. And before I get started with Daniel, I have a quote, which I'm becoming the quote person here at Arbitrage. But this quote, I think, is very apt. And it's from Warren Buffett. And he said, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." So, Daniel, what's your thoughts on that? And I'm assuming you're just saying, hey, don't sit all the money in your bank account. Do something else with it, right?
Yeah, no, I think that is great age-old wisdom from Warren Buffett. A lot of people think savings is what they have left at the end of the month. And, after all the inflation we've had over the last few years and, not a big rise in wages, that can be a pretty small chunk of change, even if you're lucky. So, thinking ahead, being able to create that saving strategy, which we actually wrote about a couple of weeks ago in a different blog post. This is kind of a build onto that. Once you're able to start saving that money, not holding it under the mattress like my mom's dad did, where we literally, when he passed away, was pulling money out of different parts of the house.
Yeah. So no cans in the backyard. What was it?
They
Vacation?
weren't in the backyard, but they were in the walls of the house.
That's right. I keep hearing stories about people that buy homes and they find those. Yes.
Yep, we were one of those people.
Wow, that is awesome. So you didn't just sit on them; you invested them and used them for good stuff. I assume. But that might have been before your days of investing.
Well, I know my parents or my grandparents bought me some CDs back in the day.
Nice.
Honestly, having a CD a couple months ago would have been a pretty good investment. Probably got 5+% return.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about those. We have you suggested 3 different types, and so the first one is bonds, which is getting a whole lot almost every day. You hear about it in mainstream media, and you can boil it down to commitment and time frames, right, for bonds?
Yeah, so specifically in this article, we talk about US savings bonds. And those are a little different than your traditional, 5-year note, 10-year note, 20-year
Gotcha.
note, or, even a T-bill, because those can all be bought and then sold on a secondary market and bought on a secondary market. So you're subject to the volatility of the price of the bond relative to where you bought it for the interest rates as they adjust. So with a savings bond, you can only buy it directly from the government. So you don't have that volatility from the trading of bonds, but you are locked in to redeem it yourself because it will be your name on the bond. So it's kind of like a savings account that's backed by the US government with a
Okay,
locked
so
time frame.
where do you get those from? If I want to buy a bond.
So you can buy it through your brokerage platform, but it goes directly through the U.S. bond auction. So it's a little different. They're not the most common instrument, but they are one of the safest ways to get a higher yield on money that you're not going to have to touch for a while.
Okay, so that's savings bonds, and then I've seen Robinhood and Webull and a lot really push. Hey, come in and put your money with us, and we'll give you 5 to 6%. So that's something different, right?
Yep. So that is a high yield savings account, which, when I first started getting into high yield savings accounts about 3 years ago, I think we maybe were getting 2%. And now there are some high yield savings account. I was actually looking the other day for this article that were over 5%. So even higher
Right.
than some bonds you can get now. And what those are is most of the time they're still FDI insured savings accounts. And they're very common amongst mobile and online banking platforms like 2 you just mentioned to really get you into the platform and start using it. Now, what's different about a high yield savings account versus a regular savings account, other than it is exponentially higher in its yield, is that it does have a fluctuating interest rate component to it. So, I use SoFi for one of my savings accounts, and I've seen it go from 2% all the way to, I think it's about 4.6% now. But I know that as the Fed cuts rates, that rate will start to drop steadily as well. So it's a more
Right.
variable, but you have liquid access to your money, just like a regular savings account.
Gotcha. And then, of course, the last is the money market funds. And I assume we're talking about the brokerages and just kind of give us a brief detail of what all that is.
Yeah, so the money market funds are a investment instrument that holds different short-term cash equivalent securities. So you can think of it as like it's got some T-bills in there, it's got some shorter-term treasuries, and really what it does is it just is a place that most of the brokerage firms use to hold your money before you're invested in stocks. So, I know in my Fidelity account, I have some cash in there and it sits in one of the money market funds so that even as I'm waiting to invest it in, let's say the S&P, I still am getting currently around 5% on my money. So it's not money that's, sitting there doing nothing like in a normal savings account. It's still gaining some yield. And one of the nice things about money market funds is that when you sell out of it through your brokerage, normally you immediately have access to your money to buy into the S&P or whatever investment you want to make.
Awesome. So we have a thing here at Arbitrage Trade. Of course, we would encourage someone not to let their money sit in their own account and to invest it here at Arbitrage Trade. So what are some ways they can basically use idle money here?
Yeah, so a lot of times people use arbitrage as an alternative investment account. And the way arbitrage works is that it is constantly getting you in and out of trades, finding the delta between foreign exchange currencies. So you're never reliant on one company or any news on a company. You're getting the difference in which different currencies move in comparison to one another. And typically we have found a lot of people have success with putting their arbitrage settings on a shorter term time frame. And this gets them in and out of trades quickly, making them have little gains in profit while still having access to the majority of their investment within arbitrage. So they can almost treat it like a cash account.
Gotcha. And it's like a savings, but you have access to it. It's not something that you have to go through a bunch of red tape to get to. So that's awesome as well. We'll end this up with another quote because I'm becoming the quote master. But this one is, "He who buys what he does not need steals from himself." So the way I look at that is you use the money that you have idle and don't go out and buy something impulsively. Put it into some type of investment, which will allow you to get more things down the road that you do need. What's your thoughts on that? And then we'll cut it off.
Yeah, it makes me think of the Japanese business philosophy of that the Japanese hate debt, and very few companies take on debt, other than their government at 25% debt to GDP, but their companies are run quite cash rich. And so, I definitely think that's a good philosophy to have, a rainy day fund for when you need it.
It's funny you say that. I didn't give credit to where it came from, but that is a Swedish proverb. So I guess they took it from the Japanese possibly. But we'll go ahead and end this and say thank you, Daniel, for coming in and giving us all your great knowledge, and look forward to talking to you again next week.
Yep. Have a good weekend, Darin.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Going to the grocery store is getting a little scarier out there lately. So here's some tips for countering those crazy food costs. Conquering the grocery store with your wallet intact takes some cunning and some strategy. And fear not, shopper, for even tight budgets can thrive with these savvy saving tips. First, you got to pregame. Before stepping foot inside the aisle labyrinth, arm yourself with a meal plan and a grocery list. Craft your menus around weekly sales and utilize leftovers creatively. Stick to your list like a GPS to avoid impulse purchases that derail your budget. Plus, consider shopping with a full stomach. Hunger pangs can lead to pricey emotional eating. And for that matter, if you're emotional about anything, just stay away. Mastering the market. Use the store flyer and loyalty programs and utilize the apps if they're available. Many of the larger chains have these to help with all the points that are in this blog. Track sales cycles, stock up on staples when discounted, and reap the rewards of points or cash back. Embrace generic brands. Your neighbors won't see inside your pantry. Often the quality is comparable, but the price tag sings a different tune. Stick to your grocery store perimeter, where fresh produce, grains, and meats offer more bang for your buck than processed center aisle temptations. What about bulk and beyond? Buying in bulk to places like Costco can be a win if you have storage space and a plan to use everything before it expires. Consider splitting bulk purchases with neighbors, friends, or family, and sharing the savings of the bounty. Remember, buy one, get one free deals aren't always bargains if you only need one. I'm talking to you, single folks. Compare unit prices to ensure you're truly getting more for your money. How about cooking up some cash? Embrace your inner chef. Planning meals around seasonal produce saves money and tastes fresher. Leftovers become tomorrow's lunch or transformed into a new dish. Consider freezing portions for future convenience and avoiding takeout temptations. Buy some Tupperware if you need to. Finally, don't underestimate the power of DIY. From bread baking to homemade stock, crafting some pantry staples can significantly reduce grocery expenses. And yes, I'm very aware of time is money. By wielding these strategies, you'll navigate the grocery store aisles like a seasoned pro, leaving money on the shelves and more in your wallet for the delicious things in life, besides just groceries, of course. Remember, saving at the store is a marathon, not a sprint. Celebrate every victory, big or small, and watch your grocery budget bloom.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, ride your bike.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, smile big and bright.
Thousands of kids just like me are happy every day.
Shriners Hospitals for Children is able to make an everyday miracle happen for kids like me.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, take your shot.
Because of you,
we are happy and we know it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please go to Let'sRunners.org right away.
Time for our winner and our loser from this week's action. As always, first is our loser, and it's Grifols. That's GRFS. And it's a plastic therapeutic company in Spain, the United States, Canada, and internationally. It's headquartered in New York. The shares went down after a hedge fund questioned its accounting. Then they pulled that talk back on Wednesday. And then Thursday, a legal firm encouraged investors to look into a class action lawsuit. So Monday, before open, it was at $11.14. Then it's dropped down to $7.73 the same day. The roller coaster news almost got it back to $10, but then the price was down to almost $7 yesterday. And our winner, Ambrx Biopharma, that's AMAM. It's headquartered in California, and it's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company, and it focuses on discovering and developing antibody drug conjugates, or ADCs, and other engineered therapies to modulate the immune system. Last Friday, AMAM was around $13.50. Then came the announcement that Johnson & Johnson was acquiring it for $2 billion. The stock more than doubled Monday and was around $28 yesterday. Trade while you're sleeping across time zones with Arbitrage Trade Assist. Sign up today at arbitragetrade.com. Arbitrage Trade is your trusted source for business, finance, and tech info. Thank you for joining us today for another edition of Arbitrage Weekend News. Log into arbitragetrade.com to read our wide variety of blogs and educate yourself on Trade Assist and Forex trading, or even how to make passive money with our Trade Assist affiliate marketer program. You can also get to know our cute little AI bot, Pips.
Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is a privately held research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the contents of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to function as investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC, please visit arbitragetrade.com.